Welcome to the first episode of Series 2 of Get Chatty podcast, a podcast about LGBT plus friends and allies who run small businesses that serve Melbourne and Victoria. Like the last series, you'll hear from people behind small businesses, side hustles, independent projects, non-profits, creatives, and their stories. Just to clarify, I'll be referring to them under the umbrella term small businesses instead of the very businessy term SMEs. Well, because it is about the people. Now, you don't have to be in this space to listen to this podcast. If you're interested in learning what drives people, getting to know everyday people forging their own paths, or some behind-the-scene funny stuff, this podcast is for you. Independence has been such a big thing to me, and it's something very important for our community, in my opinion. That's why for this series premiere, I'm bringing back Simon from Pink Flamingo Home Loans. Simon founded Pink Flamingo in 2021 with 3 decades of experience in the financial sector, and he guides and helps his clients to get the financing they need to take that big step. He also works in refinancing and in car and asset finance, but in this episode, I want to focus on buying a home. I really like the clarity that he offers. We talked about how different types of income works and a bit of starter financial knowledge. It is about figuring out if this path is for you or not. The content from this episode is general information and advice of opinions. If you'd like to explore your options, please reach out to professionals like Simon. I put his contact on the show notes. So, let's take a listen. Today, we have a returning guest for a thought topic about getting your own home. So, hey Simon, how are you?
I'm very good, Arthur. Thank you for inviting me back.
Thank you so much for having time with us again. Now, the reason I want to do this episode is that because many people in millennials that think that they're not going to have children, not going to have houses, so they might as well make the most out of it by spending it all. It's not quite like I decided to approach my life a little bit. What I really want to talk to you about today is that it is possible to, getting a home. It's not as sci-fi as some people think it is. So can you share a little bit about your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a number of ways that professionals like myself can look at lending situations for clients, particularly if it's their first purchase. You want someone who's in your corner, so to speak, who's there to guide you. Sometimes it may not be straight away that you can actually get into the market, but it's very important to have someone in your corner that's helping you through that. So sometimes it might just be you're overspending a little bit and you need that person to go, hey, in order to do this, you need to do this. And just a little bit of a guide, so to speak, in how to get things done. So there's certainly other things like government schemes out there for first home buyers, and you might need some help in navigating those as well. So we're here to help. It's, as you say, it's not all doom and gloom. There's definitely a path forward. So if just because at the moment you may not have had a situation where it would work to get a home loan, having someone who can help you through it, give you the guides, how to do it, and just stick to that plan and make it happen.
And just like we were talking about the previous episode, sometimes it's always about understanding and having an informed decision of how much you can do and not overdoing it for a long-term perspective. Sometimes things might not look as hard as it feels. And at any point in time, we got to think about our future. I saw this ABC report about the older adults doing house share and things like that. I'm not sure if I can do that anymore in my life. It's like just thinking about fighting over a bathroom will be enough for people wanting to kill each other.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
As time goes on, you don't want to do that. Exactly. You'd rather have your own place, whatever that place may be. A roof over
Yes.
your head is that cornerstone. If you can achieve it and stick to a plan to get it, it's your financial freedom in a lot of cases.
Sometimes that it felt like a perception of freedom when you can just spend it on anything else. But if you come to think about it, if you actually set yourself up for financial freedom, it is possible to have that space to yourself. You know that wherever stage of your life is, it is your home, it is your world that you can, be have security, that sense of security in that.
That's right. And it's not just for the young. So if you're around my age, perhaps, and you're getting close to 50, there's still time. So get in there, go and see the professional like me, see what can be done.
Mm.
Just because it's something that can be looked at most age groups, and that can sometimes be a misunderstanding as well, particularly in our community, that yeah, if you're around my age, you still got some time in your careers to get property. It's not a closed door, so to speak.
There are a lot of different variations that one can actually look into the possibility. Then is to explore with professionals like yourself. And
That's
yeah,
right. Absolutely. You want to surround yourself with professionals, whether it's a mortgage broker, an accountant, a financial planner. We're all here to help and build that structure for you. So don't be frightened of it. It's there to be to progress your financial freedom.
before we go on a break, do you have a marketing question for me?
I do. So I know that you've got like a YouTube channel at the moment. What's your thoughts on how you may move your podcasts moving forward?
Gosh. Ooh, thanks for the question. I think one of the important thing is understanding your limit. Kind of similar to getting understanding your home loan in a way that energy level that I have. That's there's no secret. I have a day job and this is my side work and I enjoy both of them. And I want to understand how much I can do at the moment. Yes, it is on YouTube and on Spotify. And then when I share it on social, it's only on LinkedIn and Instagram. The digital marketer side of me is like, I want to do all of this and at the same time. And, if you get an advertiser to give you advice, yes, they will say that too. Get as many different exposures as possible. But at the same time, I also want to share that it's important to think about your own personal bandwidth, that how much you can do. And for me, at this point, I was like, I might be looking for more platforms in the future, but at the moment, I think those four, like Spotify, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram, is just enough for me. And so I want to grow my channel that way first. And then, at some point that once it goes smoothly and then have built a certain following, I might extend to more platforms. And hey, just like getting a home loan is that you don't buy two apartments in a go, but then you never know. Once you got your first one, you might actually can do more, maybe a second one. Like, having that would be a really good financial independence, isn't it?
Yes. So absolutely, people should look at all avenues that they've got. It's up to their comfort level. So whatever their comfort level is,
Mm-hmm.
having the knowledge to do that's why you reach out to professionals to do it.
Exactly. And of course, that please take a look at Simon's website, Pink Flamingo Home Loans. And also, I put all of his contact detail underneath the video. Now, after the break, I am going to move this camera in a moment because this is not a very flattering angle. I got to move back to the same setting as our last episode. But yeah, so give me a moment. Hang on. What are some of the common mistakes that people make when applying for a mortgage?
Great question. So some of the mistakes, I guess, is believing that you just need a certain amount of deposit and away you go. That would be one of the issues. Banks and mortgage brokers always look at your whole holistic view of your finances. So it's never just one aspect. That's one of the mistakes. Your expenses are everything. How much you spend means a lot, particularly at the moment. So your income versus your expenses will lead into how much you can afford. And just because you've got a certain amount of deposit may not mean that you can reach a certain benchmark of a purchase price if you can't afford a certain level of a loan. So that can be another mistake as well. And it's quite a relevant one at the time that we're in at the moment. It's very easy to not know sometimes how much you're spending. And that's where things like budgeting tools within your banking apps come in play a lot, that can help you understand just what you're spending. Also, if you just go out and make an offer on something, on a property, without even talking to a professional, and then you're ready to go and get the finance after, that can really lead to some issues. If your situation is not how conducive to whatever you've just said you would buy, you may get yourself in a little bit of hot water. So it always pays to go see your broker, your bank first to see how much can you afford. The calculators on banking websites don't always tell the whole story. It's always best to talk to a real human or put in that application for a pre-approval first. It'll put you in a level of comfort that you know that you're not about to make a mistake, not just go and make that offer at auction or put in a bid and all of a sudden you've got a successful bid and you have no finance arranged.
There might be a gap between the procedure of everyone involved. And then when you fall off the gap, then you will be in hot water.
And that's something that we look at too, is that how long do certain banks take to get an approval? Do they do pre-approval? Some banks don't even do pre-approvals. So you really need to have an understanding of what's going to happen when you go down this process.
Well, actually, I'm keen to find out what a mortgage broker's doing can add value to the process, compared to if you just go straight to the bank for a mortgage. Can you explain a little bit?
Yes, our value proposition should be that we're here to guide you through every step, but we should be looking after you after the fact as well, generally. I would like to think that my fellow professionals out there in the world do contact their clients regularly, like myself. We also bring to the table that we may find an offer that's better than what you're currently offered at your current bank. And the way I built my business was you can have your loan wherever suits you, but you bank wherever else you like. So where you bank may not be where your home loan is. And if you're comfortable with that, then that could put you in a good stead for making sure that you pay that loan down faster. Like that's the value proposition we bring, is that we're looking for, and within our government legislated best interest duty, we're looking at what works for you in your best interest in every deal we do. So that's legislated. So we have to do that for you. If we can't give you something better than what you're being offered at your current bank, we have to walk away.
Oh, wow.
So that's the value proposition that should be presented to you, is that we really, hand on the heart, should be looking at what's in your best interest. For me, I don't charge fees for my services, so there's no additional cost to someone going through my services and getting that bank loan as if they went directly to that particular bank. So I'm providing guidance and ongoing service, but I'm being paid by the bank and no impact to that client. So that's also the value that we bring.
Mm. One of the things that for myself or even for my friends and people around me that I do want to encourage them to look into buying their own home because when I was living in Sydney, it was close to impossible, no matter how much money you make or not, that you're not going to be able to catch that opportunity. But after moving to Melbourne, I do find that there's a bit more opportunities available. And having that sensible development step. So I'm going to probe you with some questions that is a little bit deeper into that application process. So, but of course, that you can just say you can answer as much as you like. At any point you want to skip the question, let me know. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna intrude into area that there's confidentiality part of it. So, well, I might as well just jump into it. Can you tell me what are like the most important aspect of borrower's financial situation that you would look at when you're looking at their applications?
Yes, so primarily it centers around, can that individual afford the loan
Mm.
in their situation? So you need to factor in all sorts of different aspects, like they can afford it now, but do they have life events coming up into the near future? Maybe they're about to have children, maybe they're wanting to travel overseas. Something may be happening in their life, and you need to factor that in, that how they're going to be able to make those repayments in those times. So you've got to probe the questions around that as well, that you want to set your clients up for success. You want to know what are they thinking of when it comes to those aspects. Full disclosure is always a good thing. So
Mm.
finding that extra car loan, that extra credit card is never in anyone's interest. So always being open about your full financial situation to a professional. We're here to help you navigate that process. So that's another aspect. Always be upfront.
Simon, just wondering that because there are a lot of government initiatives available, like first home grant or home builder grants and something like that. How does that like for many first home buyers, how would that like change the process or would it have any impact on the process?
It very much can. It can sometimes give options that may not have been on the table before. So for me, I always like to ask my clients what their understanding of what is out there, give them factual information around what is their choices around government grants or other things that they could do, particularly in their first home buyers, that could get them in the door faster, but they need to understand the nuances, so to speak, around each of those different schemes, what it does to your finances. Absolutely, it could mean the difference between trying to save more and more money or getting in the market now.
So it's like, would it be safe to say that one of the potential impact that is it might change the way that you look at that starting point, but of course that you're still going to look at the ongoing affordability of that person before presenting like a loan amount or such as, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always, there comes a point where the client needs to know what the choices are and what they're going to do. So, for example, if it's going to be the first home buyer uh, deposit scheme, as an example, there's paperwork to be done around that. And
Mm.
they need to have made a choice to proceed. So the other options could be, are you going to use a guarantor? Like, is the guarantor going to put up a property to help you out? That's another option. Are you just going to put in your deposit and have what's called lender's mortgage insurance instead? So they're all very different in nature and they all have different impacts. So any professional should give you, this is what each scenario looks like, and to empower you so that you know exactly what the differences are and what they should be doing to make a choice. We'll never tell you what to do. We'll always give you, here's all the choices that we have. You make an informed decision around those aspects, because the broker then will help you with the paperwork to give to the bank to get those pre-approvals, then so you can go out, find the property, get the deal done, that you'll be moving into your first home. So absolutely there is differences and you should be well aware of them.
After people getting a home loan, there's always an opportunity of refinancing. Now, I don't know much about that space, but could you tell me like what it is and then also when might be a good idea to do so?
Yes. So after a number of years, you may find that your interest rate on your current loan just is nowhere near what you see on a bank windows advertising or their internet site. And that's usually a good indicator that perhaps it's time to move your loan to somewhere else. So, so for me, for my clients, if that loan if there is a difference, I would be seeking through that bank first. What are they willing to do? Are they willing to give a better rate? And I do that through regular changes, like reviews. But when it's a new client to me, they may not have they got that loan when they probably bought their house. And this is the first time they're ever looking at moving their loan. So it's a little bit similar to buying, but in essence, you're missing out on, you're just wanting it approved. So it really fits in what is happening in your life. Has things changed since you got that loan last time? You may have had children, you may have bought something, your income stream may have changed, you may have gone a completely new career. So it may not suit you anymore what you have. So it's always good then it's a review and what is in your best interest. Should you move that loan? Because there are costs. There's government costs. The bank that you're with may charge a discharge fee. The brokers need to look at those numbers and see, is it worth your while to move? And if it is worth your while to move, they'll help you information gather, do affordability. Can we do this? Yes. These are the lenders based on what you're telling me. Broker will put it to that bank for an approval. They'll seek approval. If it's approved, they'll help you with the loan contracts. Then it's a matter of time, generally within a month, and you could be settled with the new lender. For me, I always like to check that everything is set up correctly after it's been settled as well with the new lender. And I check in with my clients at 3, 6, and 12 months' time as well, just to make sure they're happy with where their loan is. So there are costs. So you really need to think, it's not something to be done frequently, I guess. It depends on your situation. But it's certainly something that really should be on people's minds. Am I on the right loan? Am I getting the best rate I could possibly, or what's out there? Sometimes it could be very well a knowledge piece. You may not know what your options are. So it really is a review that puts you're looking to put yourself in a better financial position.
Now, this question is not self-serving. It's actually for more people, for a lot of people, because the thing is, like, we are, especially for like many millennials or Gen Z or whatever they want to call it, is that we are in a space that there's a lot of contractors or gig workers or freelancer, side hustle people, self-employed, of course. Then, like, well, how can we like navigate that mortgage application processes to
Yeah,
make it work?
great question. So it really comes down to having your tax returns done in a timely manner. So as a broker, we'll look at what sort of incomes is going into your bank account, but we also want to match it up to what you're declaring as your to tax. What's your income every year? So let's say you're in the gig economy and you've been doing it for a number of years. We want to see a consistency or a rise in income, perhaps. And we want to look at that on your tax returns. So that's just one aspect. But yeah, we look at what's happening in your world, what's going in the bank account, what's your incomes like, what's your profit and loss statement in the software that you use for your accounting. There's more than one way that we look at how you're trending with your incomes that is not traditional. So if you're in the gig economy, it's like self-employment. So we would look at it with a lens similar to that. But we would also look at, okay, what lenders are we looking to put this loan to? We would go to that lender before we submit the loan to say, do you like this? This is the scenario. Do you like it? Because if they don't like it at all, we're not about to go there. So to help you in the decision-making process, that if a bank's not willing to touch someone who is in that space, we want to make sure that you're set up for success. So absolutely, in those professions, we come into our fore. We really do provide value to seeking out the best loan in your circumstance.
So can I just double check on that in that space? Because does that mean that there, like for different banks or financial institution, they might actually have a slightly different process or even attitude about like freelancers or people working independently, but that's something like a mortgage broker can actually go in and explore this for their
That's right.
clients.
Yeah.
Oh.
So some banks mainly look at what was your tax return for the most nearest financial year. Some may look at 2 years. That's a traditional way. They look at the 2 years with a profit and loss statement to see what the trend is, that you're not going backwards, so to speak. Yeah, there is definitely different ways of looking at lending. Some lenders may not look at self-employment, so they may also not look at anyone who is like in gig economy. Contractors, we would be a little bit similar in that we're looking at what is their trends in their tax returns. Have they been doing this sort of work for many years? They may have done some education, been doing it for a number of years, but they change employers quite a bit because that's their contract. They're going from contract to contract. So we look at more than just what is in that contract. We want to match it with what's going in the bank account over a period of time. Yeah, their tax returns, that sort of nature of things.
So in a way, that you actually just mentioned another good reason to approach a mortgage broker, because for many people regardless of whatever generation they are, there are people, many people have very unconventional way of making more money. For example, a side business
or something like that, that like the gig economy, that kind of thing, that it's, if you just go to a bank, you might be knocked back. But that's only their process, and we respect that. But then for a broker like yourself, in that slightly different professional space, you might actually be discovering in financial institution offering something maybe more suitable for you that you haven't heard of. So you just
Absolutely.
mentioned another selling point. You should have mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast, mate.
But absolutely, there is lenders out there that are quite specialized.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're not mainstream. Sometimes you may not have heard of them.
Ooh, there you go. Well, see, another reason to give Simon a call.
I want to thank Simon for being my first guest in this new series. And I also want to share my top 3s that small businesses can learn from this chat. Simon doesn't just sell a service, he guides people through the financing process with clarity and care. Educating your clients is a positive way to build trust and long-term loyalty. Why is it important? Because referrals are one of the best marketing strategies out there, but it's also very experience-based. That's why some might call it elusive. And the advantage that small businesses have is that we have better opportunities to have a well-rounded viewpoint about our clients to build that experience. Service-based businesses, if applicable, can position themselves between the person whose decision activates the case and the person who pays them. For example, mortgage broker would help home buyers to get the service from the bank, and the bank paid the mortgage broker. So what these win-win-win situations position them in the space that offer values without adding that pressure to the home buyers. So when you're starting something, have a think where you might be able to put yourself in this win-win-win offering position. Simon offers tailored advice for all of his clients, which means he would have different approaches for first-time buyers or freelancers and etc. Which means he adapts his knowledge to meet people where they are, not where the system expects them to be. Now, many of us are not single digits, so we might be a little bit stuck in our ways and overlook alternative ways to use our expertise to serve people. So when you get your next new client, why not take a moment, look back at your experience and expertise, and start with what's the best match with these clients and take it from there. It might work. Now back to the home topic. It's valid to feel that owning a home is out of reach sometimes. It's also true that for some, owning might not be their thing, and it's totally valid as well. It's about taking that step to talk to a professional who helps you navigate through the noise. I think these 2 episodes with Simon are about possibilities. The possibilities of finding out what can happen instead of running into things blind. Thanks for listening. This podcast is produced by me, Arthur, the Chatty Curator. Thanks for your company. I hope you enjoyed this episode, learn something new, or pick up something helpful to realize your aspirations. The podcast guests are making time and appeared in kind, so please consider supporting the podcast by supporting them. Head over to their socials and website on the show notes, like or share on social media, or send them the episode's dedicated page on chattycurator.com, a spot where you can listen to all of the episodes without a Spotify or YouTube Music account. Until the next episode, let's keep on getting chatty about your local businesses.